This is the Volvo EX30, and where you see if Volvo is actually going in the right direction with electrification. So we are here with the brand new Volvo EX30, and I do gotta say it really is a very good looking, stunning EV car from the Volvo brand. It still is a Volvo at the end of the day, as you can see with the Thor's Hammer LED running lights over there. You got the Volvo badge, and much of the design and silhouette is a Volvo. To me, this kind of mimics the new C40 in a sense. It's kind of like a bulldog, that it looks a bit stanced, looks a bit wider, looks a bit more aggressive. You know, the roofline is a bit shorter. It's more enhanced with the rear arches, as you can see. The wheel design is a bit more different than a standard Volvo. You have the Volvo badging over there. You also have the EX30 badge, just telling you that this is an EV version and it is an electric car. And I do gotta say, the lights really do look like a very futuristic type of car. You know, with Volvos in the past, a lot of the time, they would actually try and connect these two together to make it very good looking and very subtle, that you wouldn't even really tell that it's been different. But with this, you can clearly see that they wanted to go to the extra length. So this does compete with the Mercedes-Benz EQA as well as the BMW iX3. And I know BMW might just be coming out with an iX2 in the next couple months. But from that, I will say that this is a very good looking, stunning car. And I do gotta say, Volvo really did do a very good and phenomenal job. So now let's actually head inside and see what the interior is like in the brand new EX30.
Okay guys, after quite a while of pushing some random buttons and messing around in the car, because the car is quite entertaining, especially as a guy, I should say, as a young guy here, to just press random things and see what all of them do. Let's head over to what the interior is all about. Starting off with the steering wheel, it actually really reminds me of a Koenigsegg Jesko steering wheel, which is actually really cool how they've incorporated another Swedish brand styling almost in the Volvo itself, and it makes the car feel a bit special. It's not your regular round steering wheel, it feels quite sporty. Yeah, you've got your speedometer, which Volvo has updated. It is no longer your round speedometer. We'll see that now because we've got something special coming up for you guys later on. But yeah, that's your speedometer. You've got your basic controls for windscreen, your indicators, as well as your drive select all on the side here, almost like a Mercedes does. You've got some more basic select over here, cruise control, voice activation, and a whole bunch of other random necessities. The steering wheel is finished off really nicely with some stitched leather, and all over here is really nice soft touch. Even heading along here, this is all really soft and comfortable to feel. And if you didn't know, Volvo actually has 80% of this car, I think it is, correct me if I'm wrong, 70 to 80% of this car is actually made of recyclable materials. So this is actually window frames and glass mixed together with a few other composite materials to make this really soft, colorful material, which is actually really cool to see. As you can see in the car, you have a massive headroom here with a really stunning panoramic sunroof, and you've got tons of legroom, tons of arm space, tons of glove box space over here. And then you can come to the center console. You have your wireless charging systems, and if that wasn't enough, you've got some Type-C adapters there for charging as well. If you check here, it may seem like there's nothing, but actually you get two cup holders in here. If you only want the one, you can press it there, and if you want none, it goes back. You've got your central locking as well as window controls for the front and the rear, which is just controlled by a tap of the button like so. Then heading to possibly my favorite part of this car, the seats. As you can see, Volvo has placed the Swedish flag here to show where they're from, but this is also used out of recyclable materials, which Volvo is now also calling fake leather. So this here is stitched leather itself, but this is recycled material made to look like, feel like, and be as comfortable as what leather is, but still be environmentally and eco-friendly. And I must say, these are possibly my favorite looking and feeling seats I have experienced of this year. And we have experienced a lot of really fun cars. So yeah, there's not much else to the car. It is a really simple, really elegant kind of feeling car. And one more big thing is, if you guys look to the front here, this is all one speaker sound system here from Harman Kardon. So along with other small speaker systems you have, this one piece here going across is actually a speaker bar. And from what we have tested, it is an insane system. Still not as good as the Bowers & Wilkins in the XC60, of which you can watch up there, but it is a really good system. So yeah, otherwise there is literally no complaints. Eugene's going to get to the really intricate and possibly the funnest part of the car, which is your infotainment system. But from my side, there really is nothing more to say. The car is just good, and I have zero complaints about it.
Okay guys, so now that I'm in the passenger side of this car, it is honestly magnificent in here. I love the frameless windows that you have over there, so when you're actually moving the entire mirror around, you're moving the whole thing. It's not like in a regular car where if you want to reverse or you want to just adjust the mirror, that only the piece inside moves, so that entire piece moves. I will say the materials in here is amazing. This sort of leather feeling dashboard with the giant speaker going across there, I cannot believe they actually did that. And as Mateo said, with the glass and much of other materials that were put together for this type of material to be made. And I do gotta say, with the infotainment system, it is amazing. It is so good, you know, because they moved away from their older system and they went to a Google system. So as you can see over here with the navigation, it's very fast, it's very responsive, it's so crisp. I cannot believe how crisp it is. And as you can see, you can literally see the entire continent of Africa and the entire world. So yes, if you wanted to, you can fly this car around the entire world and it would have maps of every state, every city, and every continent. Maybe except Antarctica, but I might be wrong. Yes, it has Antarctica. I never knew that. I was just testing it out right now. It's still very responsive. You have the glove box right there, which is electronic. You know, the center glove box over here, because in most other cars, it's either on the left-hand side. Well, it's not. It's just on the left-hand side most of the time. So it's very nice because you don't have a gear tunnel going through and you don't have much of things taking up the space. And we do have to talk about the camera system in this car. The 360-degree camera, as you can see, is stunning. It is so good, it is so crisp, it is in the spec of this car, as you can see. So Volvo really did think of a lot of safety things when it came to this car. You know, you have your front view, you have the sides, you have the rear and the sides as well. You know, if you need to park this car properly, it has every safety system thought about. And yeah, I really have no complaints of this. You have YouTube, you have Spotify, you know, much of what a phone has is in the system itself, just that this is more of a tablet based iPad. But yeah, it is phenomenal here. I have no complaints. It is so good, it is so comfortable in here. And yeah, I'm kind of running out of words to talk about it because it's just so nice. And what I love about it is it's simple, but then it's also useful as well. You know, with much of every other rival, such as a BMW or much of like a Mercedes, there's too many systems going around and it's just the system overload that your brain can't even function properly. But Volvo really did a very good job over here. They made it very simple that much of your controls is in infotainment system. Usually I don't like that because, you know, you need to still touch some of your climate controls and your drive modes as well. But Volvo integrated it very good and very nicely in here. So now let's actually move into the rear because, well, it is still a compact SUV. So we need to see how practical it is, as well as these seats are really phenomenal.
Okay guys, we're now in the rear and I must start off just with the comfortability factor. And I must say this is absolutely excellent. This seat is quite far back and I still have ample legroom. And as specified in the front, you have more than enough headroom thanks to this beautiful display up here, this beautiful panoramic sunroof. Now the seats are finished off near enough exactly the same as you can see, with this really lovely stitched material here and what Volvo again calls their fake leather, which is more like a recyclable type of leather that they've used. It is nothing different to leather when you actually sit in it. When you talk about how comfortable the seats are, they still are snug. They feel like high quality, strong, well-made seats. They're not cheap. They don't feel like Volvo's cut any corners. And Volvo has really done some really intricate things. If you come and you look at the back here, these are actually really nicely finished, and if you see, there's actually a slot to put phones or keys. So when you come to the back here, you can see you've got two Type-C plots there, as well as your window controls right here, and a phone storage center so that you can put your phone in while it's charging. You do have another storage bin down here, of which you can actually take out. And if you look here, Volvo's put a bit of an Easter egg, and there's a little moose with a foresty area to show what Sweden actually looks like in a sense. And coming to Easter eggs, we'll see more about that when we get to the front. But overall in the back here, there is really no complaints. Just like the front, it's very simplistic. I mean, you've got your basic armrest, you've got your storage, your really lovely materials going around here, and everything is controlled by touch, by hand. And it's all very usable. It's a very ergonomic car, very comfortable car, and very easy to use. I must say, even so, this may be one of my favorite interiors of the year, back and front. So let's head to the back now and see how practical the car is.
Now that we're at the rear of this car, I just wanted to show you how you actually open it. So usually in some cars, The button for opening is down here, and you usually see like an ugly latch or ugly button that's usually hiding, or not usually hiding, but just protruding, and just messes with the design most of the time. But with Volvo, they thought of it, and it's actually integrated into the light bar over here. Now you can't really see it on camera, but you have to really look closely. So it's actually right over here, and it's very good. So yes guys, so as I said in the beginning, with the lights coming over here, it's very good, it's very classy, it's very elegant, and it's so nice how they just separated the pieces and just made them both 1 and 2 together. So now talking about the rear compartment over here, you don't really have much of storage in here. You know, it really is much of a compact SUV. It's not going to be a higher end class SUV with something like a Toyota Land Cruiser or much of the massive SUVs like an X5 or anything much in that caliber. But the materials in here is still very nice. They really made everything very good, very solid, and nothing really feels like it'll break. It just feels like it'll go for 10,000 kilometers or even more and still give you much of storage that you need and much of storage that your family needs as well. So now let's actually just head to the front because we need to talk about the specs of this car.
Coming to the front of the car, which is usually our favorite part, but this is an EV, and so it isn't necessarily our favorite part of the car. To be precise, the interior and the looks of the car actually outperform the actual feeling of the motor. Seeing as this is an electric car and we are car guys, we have that thoroughbred us motor system inside our souls. That's in our hearts. We have a little engine inside of us, and so having an engine to us means more than anything, especially a nice sounding performance motor from like what we just tested recently in the CLS or the Ferrari. But don't put that down. If you have a need for an everyday daily car that gets on a move, this could still be the car for you. Now this is the single motor EX30, which runs 200 kilowatts and 343 newton meters, which is good for around 5 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour, which is no slug, and because of the instant torque, it just gets a move on. We are not sure how it drives precisely, but we will get to that in a little bit. You do have the option of getting the twin motor, which has 315 kilowatts and 543 newton meters, which is now Volvo's claimed quickest and fastest accelerating car, going from 0 to 100 in just 3.6 seconds. So possibly one of my favorite things about the front end of this car is Volvo has given you another little Easter egg. So other than this tiny bit of compartment you have here, which you can fit 4 playing cards and maybe a folder, you have another Easter egg with the moose, the forest, and a small EX30 there as well, which I think is just really fun. Volvo has almost enticed us by creating fun in this car. From the interior to the little Easter eggs laying around the car, they've made the car more fun. It's not just your plain boring Toyota or Honda EV car anymore, or Kia EV car. It's something special that makes up for that non-engine feeling, that gives you something to enjoy about the car other than the looks, which are absolutely stunning inside and out, the comfort, the ergonomics. You've got these little Easter eggs that make it fun, and obviously being an electric car, it must still be fun to drive. Okay guys, we are now sat in the EX30. Keep in mind this is the single motor, so it isn't the fastest one out of the bunch, but let's do a light pull here, just see what it's like. Obviously with electric power and electric torque, it is instant. There is no slouch with this car. So you may think it's not the dual motor, it's not the peak of performance from the electric of Volvo, but it moves. There is no lack of torque, no lack of power, and at the same time it is super comfortable. This is my first electric car experience, driving experience, and I must say it isn't too out of the ordinary comparing it to your normal cars, normal driving around with petrol motors. It actually is quite easy, it's quite fun almost in a sense, having this ability to just go straight away. I mean, the Amarok on our back is no more on our back, he's gone. You just go, there's no like effort needed. The car really just gets going, and it does it efficiently and also very comfortably. The setup is rear wheel drive in the single motor, and it is super comfortable. The suspension is absolutely phenomenal. So I don't have much more to say for now. So let's see what Eugene thinks about it from the passenger side.
Yeah, so guys, this is Wow, so it's been a couple years since I was last in an electric car. You guys probably remember the e-tron Sportback that we reviewed when we were down in Cape Town. Yo, yeah, had to hold my breath a bit. So yeah, when we were down in Cape Town, I do remember feeling just the amount of power that an electric car just delivers. As Mateo just said, it's really effortless. There's no lag, there's no effort needed. You just plant your foot and you go. It is really astonishing. You know, the suspension is very nice, it's very compliant, it's not rough over anything. It's still very much a Volvo at the end of the day. So let's just head over to our location where we'll swap over, and then I'll give you my thoughts on what it's like driving this car. Okay guys, so now that I am in the driver's seat of the EX30, I do gotta say it is really phenomenal. It's so smooth, it's so effortless. You know, I can just do this. Oh yeah, there is no lack of power, there's no lack of torque, because with a combustion car you really do have to wait for quite a bit of components to actually do its job. So like with the gearbox, the engine, it has to kick down to a proper gear that gives you enough power and gives you enough torque, then you start flying. You know, with the CLS63 that we got to drive about a week ago, a couple weeks back, it really was something to behold. It really was an effortless car, although I did have to wait for some things to kick down and some things to actually start functioning and working. But in an electric car, it's just effortless. As Mateo just said, you really don't feel much, you don't feel anything. It's just, you just get off the line every single time. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I could just eat some Golfs or eat some hot hatches. You know, I've driven a couple hot hatches. I've driven an MPS, S3, Focus STs, and much of your very well-known hot hatches. And every single time I floor it in this car. There's no way that I believe that this only has 200 kilowatts. I refuse to believe that this can only give you 200 kilowatts, because in a hot hatch you really do feel everything. You feel the road, you feel the surface, you feel the engine, and a lot of the time it is in a manual, so you really do have that sort of connection. But this also has that connection in as well, but in a very different sense, as I can put it lightly. So let Mateo just give you a few words of what it's like sitting in the passenger seat.
So sitting in the passenger seat, guys, I'd like to first start by showing Volvo has a sensor system here, 3D sensor system on the screen to show you where the lanes are, to guide you, keep you in the lanes with lane assist, as well as show upcoming cars, as you'll probably see as we get closer to the cars here, where it'll differentiate between trucks, bikes and cars and all that. Obviously, you know, Volvo being safety system experts in a sense, all things to do with safety is just phenomenal. And the way it puts its power down is indescribable, especially for the fact being that it's rear wheel drive. It's not even the all-wheel drive dual motor EX30, and it just performs. And I didn't get to mention it, but while driving it, we did go through a few more corners and bends. The car handles excellently. It handles really, really well, especially for an EV car. It has some sort of connection, like Eugene said, that is just a bit different to that of a car with a motor, but it doesn't mean it's boring. It is still a fun car to drive, and on top of all of that, it's super comfortable, especially in the passenger side here. I mean, with the legroom and the headroom, and we tested the sound system, it is phenomenal. So we'd recommend that if you can, go and test the sound system out in the EX30. It will blow your mind almost as much as what driving this car does.
So now that we're actually heading onto the highway a bit so that we can do some highway driving, we just want to see how it acts and responds when you have a little bit more space and have a little bit more of room to play with. So at least on the highway, you know, speed limits aren't really the downfall, so that you don't have to always stick to them. But you know, as we do, we always stick to the speed limits as we usually do. So cornering right here, the steering is very good, it's very responsive, surprisingly, because with the RS e-tron that I felt, I think I was just too excited, so I didn't have much to say. But I do remember that steering feeling a bit lackluster, sort of. But other than that, it's still phenomenal. And we even have an M4 right behind us, and there's no way he's getting away from us. There's no way. But I'll let him be the bigger boy, so that he can go, so that he doesn't go cry to his mother. And yeah, Mateo, what can you tell them about the highway?
So coming to the highway, guys, it is again a stunning drive. It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's really easy to drive, very soundless, you could say. it's very quiet inside. The cabin's got a really nice sound like barrier, if I could say, like a sounding filtering system, so you don't have much sound coming into the cabin, and it's just easy to drive. I said it to Eugene and I'll say it again, yeah, this would be a perfect car for a mom that wants to drive around and needs something that's easy to use, has a bit of power to get going, to change lanes, to move around. It's safe, it's comfortable, it's practical enough for your everyday commutes, and at the same time, even regarding range, the car has 444 kilometers range off 93% charge, and we have been testing it for a decent while now, and it hasn't dropped much in range, so it's very usable as well. And then coming to the system here, as you can see, it's got more system here to show you the cars ahead, keeping the distance between the car in front of you, even steering assist as we drive along, very similar to that of the XC60, but if I could say even a tad bit better. So yeah, there isn't much more to say other than this is a really fun car to drive in a very different way than it is, for instance, the CLS or a hot hatch, as Eugene said. It still has some sort of fun factor to it because of the way it delivers its power and its torque and the surprise, and then the sound system and the comfortability of the car and the ergonomics. It's just a very solid, usable, simple car, and that really sums up what Volvo is to me and what Volvo does very well.
So yeah, we'll continue onto the highway, then we'll turn around, but we'll give you our final thoughts when we're back at the dealership.
Okay guys, we are back from that amazing experience, and you're probably wondering, what am I doing here? Is there something else that we missed out on this amazing car? Unfortunately not. This is the conclusion of the video, and we just want to say a big thanks to Volvo Midrand for allowing this experience, and a thank you to you guys, because the more you guys allow us to do this, and the more you guys like, comment and subscribe and allow us to grow, means the more opportunity we have with people like this, the more opportunity we have to build relationships with people like this. So as it is, if you want to see more with Volvo, click the link in the description to see the XC60, and thank you guys once again. So like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you later.